So what do you think? Do you require your tenants to carry renter's insurance? Now, before I tell you whether or not we do, I'm not saying I'm right on this. It's just something to consider because there's two arguments to be made for this. Should you require this? And what about an owner? If an owner says, hey, I want to make sure that you require my tenants to have renter's insurance, you say, okay, and then you kind of don't know how to do it. Well, here's a couple things to keep in mind. Let me offer 5 quick pieces of guidance on this. Number 1, if you're going to require it, you better track it. And this in and of itself can be difficult to do because how are you going to track it? Is it just a spreadsheet? Maybe your software tracks that for you, but you've got to make sure that if the lease says, yes, we're requiring it, that you are in essence tracking it. And it has to be more than, well, we just get a copy of the renter's insurance when the tenant moves in before we give them their keys. You say, well, that's great, but at some point that tenant may terminate that insurance. And yes, you'll probably get a letter in the mail from the insurance company saying that John Smith has terminated his renter's insurance. But that leads to the second problem, and that is if you're going to require it, you better enforce it. So when you get that termination of renter's insurance from the insurance company, what do you do? Like really, what are you going to do? Yeah, you're going to call the tenant, hey, you've got to have renter's insurance, you're in violation of your lease. And he says, okay, I'll get around to it. Well, what do you do? Because they're in violation of the lease. Are you going to evict somebody? Are you really going to evict somebody, a tenant, a good tenant, because they don't have renter's insurance? And you say, yes, I am. Okay, well, good luck with that. That's hard to do. But you're going to have to enforce it. For those 2 reasons, it's hard to track, it's hard to enforce. For those 2 reasons alone, we do not require our tenants to have renter's insurance. Because if you're going to require renter's insurance, you're putting yourself on the line with your owners in case something happens. See, I'm actually doing an expert witness thing right now in a trial here in our state. And one of the problems is the lease agreement said tenant must have renter's insurance of, I don't know, $300,000. Well, the tenant got renter's insurance, but it wasn't $300,000. And then sure enough, an event happened. Tenant's renter's insurance wasn't in place. So now who was potentially on the hook to pay the difference? Yeah, the property manager is. Why? Because they promised the owner, I will make sure your tenant has renter's insurance. Tenant didn't have renter's insurance. An event happens. Now the owner's suing the property manager saying, hey, that's on you. You told me they'd have renter's insurance. They didn't. It's on you, property manager. That's a real life situation there that you have to be prepared for. Now you may ask this, well gosh, can't I just auto-subscribe my tenant to renter's insurance? This is becoming more commonplace in our industry right now, where I as the PM can in essence pay a premium on behalf of my tenant every month to ensure they're always subscribed. And then maybe I back bill them through their rent. There's different ways of doing that. This is becoming more and more common. So if you're going to require it, I think this is the way to do it, to require the tenant and you just auto-subscribe on their behalf. Now, how about this? Because I told you that we as a company, we do not require our tenants to have that. So how do we answer this question? What do we do when an owner's thinking of hiring us, and they say, hey, now you do require your tenants to have renter's insurance, right? Or I want to make sure that my tenants have renter's insurance. Can you enforce that? So how do we answer that question? It's a valid question. Now, before I answer that, this is called anticipation. Before I answer that, I want to tell you real quick about this company that I've been working with a little while that I think you need to check out. The CFO Mission. The CFOmission.com is their website. If somebody walked into your office right now, if a state auditor walked into your office and said, hey, I'm here to audit your trust accounts. Are they tight and current as of the close of the last day of the last month? If they're not, if you start sweating when you hear that, you need to contact the CFO Mission. These guys work specifically with property management companies, only PM companies, to help them keep their books in order and tight. Not just their trust accounting books, but also their operating books. They can get you on the GL standard for the industry. They can do a variety of things. So if your books are at all in need of someone going over them, if you're not a numbers nerd, you need these guys. So when this video's over, not until the video's over, go to the affiliate page of our website, watch the information we have on the CFO Mission. It goes into more detail. Reach out to these guys. It's worth the phone call, absolutely. So back to what do you do? What do you say to an owner? So an owner says to us, hey, I'm ready to hire you guys, but oh, by the way, you do require renter's insurance, right? We then say, no, Mr. Owner, we don't require that. Well, why not? I want it required. We say, Mr. Owner, we would love to require it, and we do recommend it in our lease. However, the reason we don't require it is because it's not enforceable. See, if the tenant cancels that renter's insurance, Mr. Owner, and then an event happens, you're going to be mad at us. You're going to potentially sue us because we didn't require them to have it. See, it's not enforceable. You don't want to put something in your lease that's not enforceable. Bad business practice. So we recommend they have it. And Mr. Owner, your insurance is going to cover something if it happens anyway. The tenant's renter's insurance doesn't do as much for you. So for that reason, we recommend it, but we don't require it. Now that answer typically satisfies all of our owners. If it doesn't, well, then we don't do business together. One final aspect here. Recommend it in the lease, but don't require it. So our lease agreement specifically states that we recommend tenant have renter's insurance in place for things, and we list the things that could potentially come up, but it doesn't require it. So even if you're not going to require it, still recommend it. It's just a good business practice to have in place. Last thing, because I always forget to talk about these at the end of the videos. If you like this stuff and you want to make sure you don't miss a future video, you can subscribe right there on the page. You hit the subscribe button. If you've got a suggestion for a topic for us to address in this setting, right at the top of our video page, we've got a place that you can click and enter a video suggestion. Feel free to do that. Last thing is this. We are about to roll out, the first time we've talked about it, about to roll out our next level video coaching program. We're super excited about this. I think it's going to be a big deal for a lot of folks to help you improve your business incrementally. So if you want coaching, if you need coaching, this is the way to go. If you can't do the one-on-one coaching for any particular reason, this is kind of like small group video coaching stuff. So jump onto our coaching page, check out the information on that, but I think you'll find it beneficial. All that to say, if you're going to require renter's insurance, make sure you enforce it, make sure you track it, make sure you enforce it, because you don't want to find yourself on the backside of a lawsuit because you promised an owner you'd enforce it and you're not doing it. So be cautious if you're going to require it.